coming through when the growth look good on you. Best believe they wanna screw now. I've been trying to climb, devil threw me in the dark. Baby, don't be insecure, you can still go make a mark like blow. Could never let them drain my soul now. Blow. Table turning like doorknobs, wow. Blow. I think I'm about to set sail. I'm a walking, living legend, walking with my chest out. Life keep dealing me cards, I keep fitting in love.
Yes, people, you already know what time it is. You know what it is. G, we're back in the building. Here to do a quick my match review thoughts on the game at the weekend, Manchester City versus Liverpool. Before we obviously dive in and before we obviously start and stuff like that, please make sure you smash that like button. Please make sure you're subscribing to the channel. We are on the route to 900 subscribers. So please, if you haven't done so already, please make sure you're smashing that subscribe button and stay tuned for some more content in the future. Obviously, been let it marinate for a couple of days. Obviously, the game was on Saturday, 12:30 kickoff. A lot of talk around that and all that kind of stuff. It's been funny watching the reactions. Listening to people's reactions, people's thoughts, opinions and stuff like that. I kind of wanted to let it sit for a couple of days as well. You know, a lot of people have spoken about the game, obviously Liverpool fans, Manchester City fans, and people just in a general sense. I think now Liverpool have dropped down the table from second position into third position. I think we're joint fourth with Aston Villa, I think after their victory against Spurs. So of course, table looks a bit different now. Do you know what I mean? Table looks a bit different than it was, you know, before we headed into the international break and before that game against Manchester City. We did have a chance to obviously go top if we did beat Manchester City. City obviously had a chance to extend their lead over the chasing pack. Neither could do that. And yeah, it was a 1-1. It was a 1-1 game. I had a feeling it would end up like that anyway. Like I had predicted a draw. I predicted 2-2 to be fair. I thought maybe, you know, both teams might try and go for it towards the end of the game, and then, you know, someone would nick a draw at the end. Probably Liverpool, you know, come back and, you know, get that kind of get that goal, which we kind of did, but in a 1-1 setting. But am I surprised at the result? Not really. I'm not that surprised. Again, like I said, I predicted the draw anyway. So to sit here and lie and say, yeah, I thought it was going to be something mad, I don't think so. Like, obviously, there's possibilities that can happen. But in my mind, I was thinking, I probably see this as a draw, you know. And the game kind of panned out. Excuse me. The game kind of panned out in the way that I kind of thought it would. You know, City being dominant on the ball. City just being a dominant team. You know, they're at home as well. Liverpool setting up in a type of way where it was almost like, of course, you're against Manchester City. First and foremost, that's the best team in Europe. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, there's going to be some stipulations to the certain to certain things that you can do, you know, away to Manchester City. Even though we've seen Wolves beat Manchester City, I know that was at the Molineux, but we've seen Wolves beat Manchester City. Obviously, Arsenal beat Manchester City as well, you know, this season. So it's not to say that Liverpool couldn't go there and win with a game plan, but I didn't feel like the game plan that Liverpool had, the way I watched the game afterwards, the way I kind of looked back at it and thought to myself, okay, yeah, we weren't going to win the game playing like this. It was always going to have to be, City would have had to have made a mistake or, you know, play real shit. And then, you know, we were going to just dominate them in that kind of way. But the thing is, I kind of understood why we went into the game. I almost felt like we were a little bit, and I understand this fully, I almost felt like we was a little bit pragmatic and we weren't our usual selves, you know, in terms of how we like to play. And again, like I say, I totally understand it because, again, you're up against Manchester City. So you have to understand, like, you can't just go there all the time. It may happen. Like I said, Wolves were able to beat Manchester City. I know they had Man City had a couple injuries and suspensions and stuff like that during that period of time, but there is a way that you can beat these guys. But I just felt going into this game, it was going to be more about, can we keep them out of the other end, which again we did in the game. So again, another point for Liverpool. And again, listening to everyone speak about the game. And listen, everyone's got their opinions. Some people are happy, some people are not happy. I'm kind of like in the middle. I'm like, am I happy with a point? I'm never happy with a point at the end of the day. I don't really care who I play. Like, this ain't the Liverpool of old where I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh my God, like, you know, I'll just be happy just to get a point, you know, and obviously, again, some people are happy just to get that point and bounce. And I totally understand why, because it is a tough away ground. You know, you can't just easily go there and win. City haven't lost there in, what's it, like 23, 24 games now anyway. To be fair, Liverpool have stopped their winning run at the Etihad, but to go there and say you're going to get a win, it's going to be difficult. And for Liverpool especially, a team that doesn't go there and win often, not since, 2015, I think it was. You know, it's a long, long time. So it's going to always be difficult up against Manchester City. But yeah, I mean, I've seen the tacticos, you know what I mean? The online tacticos, and big up themselves as well, by the way. People are always getting onto them. People are, yeah, I mean, like, you people are always disrespecting these tacticos and, no, you guys are just using these words, that words, and da. Like, I always say, bro, like, if you're a tactico, and you might not want to be called that, but if you're someone who likes to look at the game in that kind of in that kind of depth and, you know, real analysis and stuff like that, like, keep going, man. Don't let people, you know, tell you any different. If they don't understand, of course, if you don't understand, that's where then the confusion comes. That's where, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. It's just this, it's just that. Sometimes, at the end of the day, football is, it's a simple game, so to speak, but there's a lot that goes into it, you know, and there are little things, fine margins, and all these kind of little intricacies within football matches that will either allow you to win a game, lose a game, or draw a game. Do you know what I mean? So when I see all of these things and I see people getting onto the, you know, the people who like to look at the game in that kind of way, I'm always like, nah, don't look at it like that. You know, maybe educate yourself, you know, learn something. Do you know what I mean? Like, we don't all know everything. Even tacticos don't know everything. Do you know what I mean? It'd be impossible to know everything. Otherwise, you'd be a manager too. Do you know what I mean? You'd be a manager of one of these top clubs, but you're not. You know, so sometimes you do just have to maybe just educate yourself, learn a few things here and there. We all learn. I learn. I love listening to certain people talk and, you know, about the game and, oh, you know what, maybe this position, you know, they should have done this, you know, a bit differently. You know, we weren't doing that so well, etc., etc. So, you know, when people get onto these kind of those kind of people, I'm always like, nah, man, just like I said, just educate yourself. But in a general sense, like I said, I've seen a lot of people, like, before the game, it's something I mentioned in a group chat. Before the game, the energy of people was like, nah, Liverpool gonna win. Yeah, like, in terms of Liverpool fans, it was like, nah, Liverpool gonna win. I can feel it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think I put a tweet up mentioning this, like, before the game, yo, Darwin Núñez, brilliant on international duty. Luis Diaz, brilliant on international duty. Trent playing well on international duty. You know, everyone that we, all the South American guys, basically, you know, go away on international duty. They've been playing really well. Sabozalai, blah, blah, blah. All of this kind of stuff. And rightly so, the energy before the game was Liverpool fans were thinking, nah, you know what? I think we got something for them, you know. They're not going to be ready. They're faking injuries, you know, players. They're not the Man City of old and all of these things. And, you know, then we draw the game and then the energy switches from, you know, everyone's chest being out to, yeah, you know what, I'm kind of happy with that point, you know, I'm really, really happy, you know, that was tough. Man City are such a good team and you know, and this, that, and the third, and I'm just like, but before the game, you know what I mean, and again, I take it all in total, like, we take all of this in totality. You've gone away to Manchester City, you've got a point that is always going to be seen as good regardless of anything. But it's just funny seeing how people were before the game to then seeing how they are after the game. You know, it's kind of hilarious to be honest, but you know, that's just one of those kind of things. Football fans will be football fans. Of course, you always want your team to win. You always believe your team, you know, can win these kind of games. But in terms of the game in itself, my thoughts, do I think Liverpool played well? No, I don't really think so. I don't. Like I said, I don't really feel. I felt like fans had more belief that they'd win the game than Liverpool players did. I didn't watching the game, so I only watched the second half at first, and then I went back to watch the full game. Watching the game, I didn't feel that the Liverpool players felt like they were good enough to win the game. Whereas when I'm watching the game and the sequences and the patterns of play and blah, 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 I'm sitting there thinking, there was moments in that game. If we were just able to just patting up in certain instances, better touch, from Darwin Núñez, or, a better pass from Luis Diaz. Like, there were so many little moments. Of course, they're not going to be many against Manchester City, so I'm not saying you've had 10 chances and you've missed all of them. That's unrealistic in my personal opinion. But there were moments in that game I just thought to myself, nah, the win's there. The win is there, Like, if you can just pattern up what you need to do a bit better, like I said, a better pass and all these kind of things, then you could easily get yourself a goal. But it never felt that the players really felt that. Do you get what I'm trying to say? I know obviously everyone's saying, again, like I say with the South American guys, because obviously we saw a few of the performances. Alisson, absolutely dog shit. Bar like a couple of saves in the game, I thought he was shit. Which is, I can't even remember the last time, if I've ever said that Alisson was shit, in a game, but he was actually shit. Like, everything he did, bar the couple of good saves, like very, very good saves that he made, even though they were kind of right at him, but they were good saves nonetheless. I felt like he was rubbish. Darwin Núñez, non-existent. Luis Diaz obviously was on the bench, but even he came on, he didn't do anything. McAllister was good though. You know what I mean? I have to give props where it's due, because I'm always getting on to McAllister. And I even said before the game, watch this be a game that McAllister turns up. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like this would be the type of game that he would just turn up and be, boom, 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 boom. And I have to admit, McAllister was actually pretty decent, in the game. Szoboszlai, again, another poor game from Szoboszlai. It's now been a few games in a row. Nothing concerning, but it's just something I've written down. It's like, yep, okay, cool. That's the third game or fourth game in a row where I've watched you play, and I'm like, you're not doing anything. And rightly so. I think he got hooked off in that second half, because it was just like, you're not doing anything, so you're not benefiting us in any way, shape, or form. Watching like Gravenberch come on again, you're looking at that, and I'm thinking to myself, maybe Gravenberch should have potentially started the game over maybe a Curtis Jones, potentially, because of the way that Gravenberch played when he came on. That seems to be his game now. Now that I've been able to see a bigger sample size, that looks like his game, being able to drive forward with the ball, being, a hard runner, a tough runner, someone who it's very difficult to get the ball off of him. He's able to use his arms really, really well, but also the way he's able to keep control of the ball when he is dribbling. I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, and he's got he's not fast, but he's got that, quick burst, in his locker kind of thing. And I think when you've got someone like that, and he seems to be quite smart, football IQ seems to be there, which I guess was never really in doubt. When I'm watching that, I'm like, maybe we need that in these type of games, potentially. I understand why Curtis started the game though, because I was even saying, no, I think Curtis should start, this game, because of what he can bring to the team in terms of, the one of the main things that we say about Curtis, and people moan about it, is, being able, like, he holds onto the ball too long, and, he likes to play it safe, like Gini Wijnaldum and stuff like that. In this game, he definitely was not doing that. He was trying too many different things. I was like, I don't know if you're just super gassed in the game or whatever the case may be, but whatever you're trying to do, it's not it, and it's not helping. You're putting us under pressure. You're giving the ball back to Manchester City, especially after like little sequences of play. Then he gets the ball. Now he wants to lose it. And I'm like, come on, bro. Like, we can't give them possession. It's already difficult to get the ball off of Manchester City without giving them the ball, to allow them to do their kind of thing. But there were little bits. The in-game management I didn't feel was that good anyway. Other than Gravenberch coming on, I don't feel like Klopp did anything in the game to allow us to get a victory or whatever. I know he brought on Endo to kind of secure that point and stuff like that. That almost, in my opinion, almost kind of backfired, because I was like, that's a very dangerous game, trying to almost secure a point at Manchester City. Because once you almost give them the impetus to say, all right, you come on and attack us, they are probably the best team in the country, and in Europe anyway, at being able to break down any type of block, whether it be a low block, highlight. They can do all of that kind of stuff. They're one of only a few teams who have got that in their locker. So I felt like it was a little bit dangerous. Obviously, we got the draw in the end, so calm, not a problem. But I did feel it was a little bit dangerous, and it could have backfired. But ultimately, you got the draw in the end. Trent, I thought Trent was all right. I know people have been talking about this Trent versus Doku thing. Listen, I think and big up Tariq. I was listening to his calling last night on Enz's show with Savage, the call-in show, and Tariq mentioned like about, you know, both things being right in terms of how Trent played and how Doku played, and I totally agree with him because. Yes, do I think Doku played well? I thought Doku played actually really well. I think people are, it's too much of this overconfidence. It's always too much one side. Like I never really understand. Like it's always no, he wasn't all like, oh, he was amazing, and then you got other side saying nah, he wasn't even all that. Did it? I'm like, just analyze what you saw. Do you know what I mean? To use the word Trent got cooked, I don't know if cooked is the right word. Would I say Trent was a little bit like ooh, like. Nobody wants to face a winger like this. Like I'll tell you right now, I've played left back before. You don't want to come up against wingers like this. And these times I was quick, so the pace isn't the problem. It's the trickery against these kind of guys. Like I don't want that kind of problem. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Because once they do a little shift, it's all long for you now because your body's going one way, they're going another way, you know, at times. And remember, you don't know what they're going to do half the time. And when they know what they're going to do and they're still jinky at times, it can be tricky. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So I thought like Trent did well enough against Doku. Obviously, Doku's going to beat him at times. Like I feel like people need to just get that. Did he beat him a good few times? Yes, but he will beat most people, if not every right back in the world, because of the way that he plays, because of how fast he is, how strong he is, how good he is at dribbling. He's going to do that. So I expected it anyway in the game. Obviously, there's going to be moments that I thought, okay, now Trent, okay, yeah, he was able to stand him up or able to shift him onto another player and stuff like that. I thought, okay, yeah, calm. You know what I mean? Like Trent was doing that. And then obviously going forward, I felt like, I didn't even feel like Trent was even amazing going forward. I just felt like he kind of just, he was like balanced in what he needed to kind of do. Obviously coming in field a couple of times, being able to play a couple passes and stuff like that. I felt like both players did calm. I felt maybe Doku edged it, in my opinion, that I think Doku was a little bit better. And again, like I say, I know people talk about, oh, there was no end product and da-da-da-da. I mean, he can't force the ball into the net. If I put the ball in the box, that's now up to anybody else to do whatever it is, you know, they need to do. On another day, he gets himself 2 assists potentially. Do you get what I'm trying to say? If the players score. So there's that side of it. But then at the same time, there were other moments where he was being shepherded out, you know, the ball running out of play and stuff like that. So I just think people were just being a bit too over dramatic on both ends of things. Like I think both players did well. I think yes, maybe Doku just a bit better, in my opinion. But ultimately, if you think Trent did better, I won't even argue with that. Like because it was so close anyway, you know, kind of thing. So like I said, I think people are just going too overboard with that whole thing. You know, I think it is a bit too much. Who else was there? I wanted to quickly speak about. Tsimikas, I thought was all right. You know what I mean? This was everyone, myself included, worried. I thought, nah, Gomez got to play because of Foden. And I thought because Foden playing on that right-hand side, or him also being left-footed, he's obviously, Foden loves to come in, drift into that kind of space. If you're up against a guy who's playing left-back but is right-footed, that might suit the defending a bit better. Thought he was okay. Foden didn't really go up against him that much anyway, and it seemed to me that they weren't really trying to play too much. I haven't looked at the stats or anything, so I could be completely wrong. But from what I saw of the game, it didn't look like they were trying to really go down that side. Yeah, they tried a couple times here and there, but that didn't seem like their main focus. It was more try to get the ball out to Doku, and then obviously let Doku just run at his man, put the ball in the box, and then, you know, see what can potentially happen from there. But Foden was drifting anyway, and that's always difficult, especially when, not to say you're tasked to mark him, but when you've got a player, and in Manchester City, they've got a couple players who like to do that, you know, where you've got Bernardo Silva who drifts everywhere. Like, so I don't even know how you can, I don't think you can even mark players like that because they'll move you out of position way too easily. Foden will drift infield at times, potentially drop deep to pick up the ball, you know, allow Kyle Walker to potentially go on the overlap on that. Like, their team's too tricky like that. So I think I saw someone mention about, oh, maybe you should have man marked this. I'm like, you can try, but I don't feel like that's going to be an easy task to do. I don't think there's certain players on their team that you can't man mark them kind of guys. Like, it's just going to be, they'll start dragging you out of position and they'll just leave a lot of gaps and stuff like that. So yeah, I think, yeah, in terms of the defense wise, I felt like the defense was calm. Like I say, it was Ali was the worst out of all of them, and that I never ever say that. Usually he's the guy, and he made good saves, you know, in the game. But as an overall distribution, pass, everything was just all off. And then he picked up an injury, so you know we'll have to wait and see, you know, in terms of that, how long that's going to be how long that's going to actually be keep him out for. Hopefully not long, because we need an Ali. Like I don't have faith in the Kelleher's and stuff, kind of thing, to be able to kind of jump in for us, especially right now where Liverpool, I feel, are in like a good moment. Obviously, I know Diogo Jota as well. I think he picked up like a little injury, so I don't know. It's going to be tricky with that. So we're going to have to wait and see, because I feel like if Ali's out, will that change potentially the way that... no, I don't think it's going to change the way that we play. I think we're still going to continue playing. But then will that hinder us moving forward? Because obviously Kelleher's not as good at Ali at doing so, but he offers you other things. So listen, I have no idea. We're going to have to just obviously wait and see. Hopefully Ali's only out like one game. Cool, he comes back in. I'm good with that one game. We can deal with that. But if it's like weeks and weeks and weeks, or he's out until the new year, for example, scary times, man, scary times. So I'm hoping by the time this video lands, and I put it out, I'm hoping that we find out that, Ali's calm. He'll just miss a couple of games here and there. Okay, I'm good with that. Do you know what I mean? We can live with that. We should be able to live with that, with the games that we've got coming up. The attack, I thought that the attack was so poor. Man City did really well in nullifying, not even the attack, because I don't even think it was even the attack that they nullified. I felt like they were nullifying the 2 8s that we had, and really Szoboszlai and Jones. They were nullifying their impact on the game so much so that we couldn't even really get the ball to the attackers anyway. So they were kind of feeding off of scraps, really, if I'm being totally honest. Which obviously then makes it difficult. Obviously, I know Salah got the assist for Trent Alexander-Arnold. Fantastic strike in them new Predator boots. I need the Adidas, Batman. But I know he got that assist, but outside of that, I don't think he played that well. Again, Núñez feeding off scraps. I don't blame them for, like, it's not there. If you're feeding off scraps, it's going to be difficult for you anyway. But it looked lackluster. I didn't feel like we were connecting well with the midfield and stuff like that. But again, maybe it's just testament to Manchester City. Again, they were stopping all of those kind of things because they're not stupid. They know if Liverpool start connecting the midfield and the attack, it's gonna get long for you. It's really, really, really gonna get long, for you. So that's just kind of the way that I looked at the game. So as an overall, you're happy. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, I thought it was gonna be a draw. I'm good with that. Do you know what I mean? We bounced because I did not think we'd win. So to come out with a draw, I'm like, okay, calm. You know what I mean? We can kind of move on as long as we just keep picking up the 3 points in our next few games or whatever until we face, I think we've got Man United and Arsenal at home in the next like 5 games. So if we could just keep picking up the W's, then we're kind of good to go. We're still on track for whatever it is we think is going to happen towards the end of the season. And what we didn't want is Manchester City to build up a lead, because no one's caught them ever when they built up a lead. Let's put it like that. So if they start building up leads in this league, 10 times out of 10, I'm trying to think of another time, but I'm going to say 10 times out of 10, they're winning the Premier League. So you don't want them to get too far ahead. I know it's even this early stage, and this is why when people are like, this is the title decider, and I'm like, nah, no game in the 13th game of the season could be a title decider. What this is more of it's good that Liverpool were able to get a draw, because as I said, then you don't allow, even because it's Manchester City. If it was anybody else, I wouldn't really care. If it's like Arsenal getting like a 3-point lead, I'm like, we'll probably catch them. But if it's like a Man City, I don't want them to have a lead, because it's just long. That lead starts to increase over time. You don't see it now. You don't see it in game 13 or 14. I start noticing in game 20, all of a sudden I blink. Bruh, how did they get 7 points ahead? We ain't even lost the game. And that's what will happen. You haven't even lost the game. You might have drawn a couple games randomly and won everything else. Man City are 7 points ahead now. You're just like, well, how did that happen? Do you know, even if you beat them, you're like, so we're 4 points ahead. Okay, cool. And then you'll draw forget all of that. I don't want that. Do you know what I mean? I'm tired of Manchester City always doing that. So like I said, as an overall, happy to get that point. Because I did not foresee Liverpool winning the game at all. We didn't play well. Man City really did show me that they are the better team at this moment in time. Did we already know that? Yes. Does that really matter? No. Because anything can obviously happen in football. Like I said, we've seen them lose to Wolves already this season, so that should show everybody anything can obviously happen. But it was just one of those kind of games, man. I think that moving forward, there are obviously, I mean, I could sit here now and I don't know if Jerry's going to do like a tactical analysis or whatever. So it'd be good to kind of take a look at certain stats and whatnot. But really for me, I'm just looking at that, just thinking, yeah, like Liverpool are like, the superior team probably should have won the game, and they'll be more pissed that they just didn't take their chances. But from a Liverpool perspective, yo, be happy that you were able to not play well, go there and keep it moving with a point, and you didn't lose. Cool, we're good to go. Did you get what I'm trying to say? So, yeah, man. Performance-wise, I'll give it like a 5 out of 10. I think it was like an average performance from us. But yeah, it's just more annoying when I'm just thinking about it now. Like, it's just more annoying thinking of like in the game in itself. There were moments where I just felt we can. Do you know what I mean? Like, and really more so when I felt like Gravenberch came on the pitch. I was just looking at that thinking, man, I think we could do something. We can do something. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, even the goal that we did score when Trent hit that shot from outside the box, or close / in just coming into the box, I felt like that because it came out of nowhere. Obviously, it probably shocked Manchester City more than it shocked us. Do you know what I mean? Because it just came out of nowhere. It was like, right, pass, shot, boom. And everyone like, oh shit, all right, cool. You know what I mean? Like, let's build momentum. And because we are, in my opinion, like a momentum team, I felt like we was going to try and push on and stuff like that. But it's like we just said, nah, let's chill. And again, it's like, I do understand. Obviously, this is the fan in me talking. I get it. I do get it, because you don't get too over your head and start thinking, yeah, we're like, don't do that, because Man City will just go pop, 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 pop. And they were doing that really and truly in the game. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there were moments and stuff where I felt like, like, I think when Man City were 1-0 up, I think I messaged one of my boys and I said to him, yo, if Man City score a second goal, I promise you this game is done. Like, yeah, I feel like they'll either go on to score 3s and 4s, or they'll just close this game out and we ain't going to touch the ball between now and the end of the game. If they were to score a second goal, they weren't able to get that second goal. And I think it killed their momentum, but we didn't build upon that momentum. And that's what, for me, kind of killed it. But, like I said, listen, I'm not going to sit here and moan at a point away to Manchester City, but I do think that the game was kind of there. Like, we probably could have, it's almost like if we just believed a bit more, like I said earlier, it just didn't feel like the players really believed that they could win the game. And that for me is more annoying than anything. But it is what it is. Like I said, we got a point, we move. Games like this are only good when you're able to follow them up with another good victory, or with another good performance, or with a good performance and a victory in your next game. So if we're able to do that, then perfect. Then we can keep building. It's when you don't follow that up, that's when it becomes annoying, because then it becomes like how last season we beat Manchester United 7-0. Next game we lose to Bournemouth. You're like, what is even going on? Like, this doesn't even make logical sense. Do you know what I mean? What, did you use up all your goals in that one game or something? Like it doesn't make any real sense. So I'm hoping that this season we're able to do that, and just push on and just kind of move forward. If I had to pick a man of the match for Liverpool, trying to think, like, I felt like Verge was okay. Yeah, I felt like Verge is okay. With Verge, sometimes it's so weird trying to judge him, because I'm like, he didn't do anything. Like, I don't feel like he did anything. I don't feel like he really did much, but that's not his fault. I just felt like he didn't have much to do anyway. In the game, obviously, it's not like he didn't do anything. There were moments, win ahead of here and stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. But in a general sense, but he didn't do anything wrong. So I couldn't sit here and be like, oh, he was shit, he did that. No, he didn't do anything like that. But I don't feel like he did anything. So maybe Trent, but then I'll be honest, I feel like Gravenberch really was the spark for us to try and potentially push on. But just by sheer amount of minutes played and overall performance, I probably then would just give it to Trent just for that, because like I said, I felt like he was all right. You know what I mean? I don't feel like he was, as bad as people are making out, like Doku was this mad winger who did a madness, twist the man up, put the ball through his legs, Do you know what I mean? Main man drop on the floor like nah, he didn't do none of that stuff. Do you get what I'm saying? I think let's not get too excited. He definitely wasn't doing any of that, but he was doing typical winger play, and he performed exactly kind of how I thought he would perform. And like I said, on another day, he does get 2 assists, and then maybe the perspective kind of does change and it does look a little bit different. But we were solid in the middle when those balls would come in. So yeah, man. Yeah, I'll give it to Trent. I was disappointed in Curtis Jones. I definitely was. I thought he was shit. Like, I just didn't understand all this big talk on the podcast and them thing there. And, you know what I mean? You put in that kind of performance. Come on, bro. Like, I do expect better. You're now in the limelight, bro. You know what I mean? You were fantastic towards the back end of last season. All the noise, myself included. You know, we're looking at you thinking, yo, you know what I mean? Like, finally, Curtis come to the game? All right, cool. Say no more. Like, let's see what he can do. And then he's performing. He's been performing. So Curtis has deserved. He's deserved the praise that he's been getting. You know, in my opinion, anyway, he's deserved the praise. He's deserved, you know, being in the first team. And now we're looking at him and saying, nah, he's got to be a fixture in these type of games. You get what I'm trying to say? But yeah, in this game, nah, man. McAllister, big up your damn self. Again, like I said, I'll give the praise. The praise is due. I'm not going to keep slandering him. For me, this was his best game. Like, yeah, he's at games where I think he got an assist and stuff. Yeah, I don't care about that. Like, this was a game that I really want to see, like, what we say now against the big boys. It's all, like I said, it's all great playing against all these dibby-dabby teams, and no disrespect to them. It's all, you know, but it's all well and good doing it against these kind of teams. At the end of the day, you can only beat what's in front of you. But in some people's opinion, he's been good in other games, but nah, for me, this game, he was actually good. Like, I actually looked at him and thought, nah, you're actually doing all right, you know? You know, like, you don't look out of place. Like, maybe it's just the team that you're playing, that maybe their style of play complemented what you're good at, but I saw a lot more of the shades of McAllister at Brighton in this game, you know, as opposed to the McAllister I've been watching for the past God knows how long, who's just been stinking up the place, in my personal opinion. Yeah, it's a Bozalai, yeah, he needs to pattern up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, one more game of this poor performances, yeah, now I'm going to be starting to have, you know, a couple conversations and say, yo, bro, like, if you're not patterning up, then Klopp, put Gravenberch in Zabozalai's position, man. You know what I mean? We ain't got time for these stragglers. I'm tired of stragglers. We should not need stragglers. We should not need people who are not performing. You've had now 4 games. By our next Premier League game, you would have had 4 games, and you're still performing like this, bro. Get off the pitch. You're not playing well enough. You do not deserve to play. Let me see something else, because we have the players to do so. This is what we wanted. This is what we've been crying out for. Depth. Players to be able to rotate and who are still good enough to come and play. Now we've got it. So guess what? I want to see him play now. Do you know what I mean? I still think Gravenberch should play the next game, start the next game anyway. But I'm just saying, if Zabozalai isn't playing well enough, then yeah, you need to get dropped to the bench, man. Like, man can't keep playing. That's dead. That's dead. Diaz not starting the game. I thought he would. Maybe, obviously, people talk about the South American thing. I get it. Obviously, McAllister spoke about it and stuff like that. Who am I really to say? If he's saying one thing about it, I can only take that as the gospel, really and truly, because he's the one who's going through it. But at the same time, I don't like using it too much as an excuse, so to speak. But maybe then that's the reason why Klopp didn't play Luis Diaz, especially with everything that's been going on with his pups and stuff like that. Maybe the last few weeks, or the last month, shall we say, has just been a bit intense for him. And in a game like this, where we need your intensity levels to be high, maybe he just felt like his wouldn't be as high, which is absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. Got no problem with that, whatsoever. I think I did have Jota playing, but that was more upfront, more than anything. I thought Diaz probably would start, but fair enough. You got Jota on that side. That's cool. I did say I felt like this was more of a game for Gakpo than a Darwin Núñez. Like I said, Núñez was just feeding off scraps, and I just felt like he just couldn't really get into the game and stuff like that, in my opinion anyway. He did it, like, it was like he would drop deep or try to drop deep and stuff like that, but with no impact. Whereas I feel like a Gakpo would be better, someone who's way better on the half turn, way better at dribbling, able to bring the ball forward really, really well. Obviously, he hasn't got the pace of a Núñez, but I just felt like he'd be a better option. And then you bring Núñez. I just felt having Núñez off the bench, it would have almost, I think anyway, and I'm not guaranteeing this, but I just felt like it would have made a Pep think a bit differently. Whereas the substitutions that Klopp made, I don't feel like Pep looked at that and thought, oh yeah, I need to change something. Like, I don't think he even made a sub in the game, which kind of told me, yeah, he's not worried about what you've done. He's more like, I feel like these players can still, but then again, Pep does that quite a lot. So, you know, who knows really what he's thinking, you know, at that time, time of the game. But yeah, man, listen, to wrap all of this up, and I say all of that to say, ultimately, let's not go too overboard either way. Is it a result that I'm buzzing about? No, like who's buzzing about a point? That's dead. That don't make no sense. But is it? It's not like we're a shit team, so I couldn't really be buzzing about them kind of things there. Like I would have been buzzing with the 3 points. Did you get what I'm trying to say? But obviously still to get a point is obviously good. So you look at it from that way. But then on the flip side as well, I wouldn't be cussing the team too much. You know what I mean? I don't think we were shit or anything like that. It was just, I did feel there was a clear difference between the two teams, but to go overboard and say that, nah, even me, the most pessimistic person you guys know, even I couldn't say that, the team was shit and Nah. We were good in moments. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And we held our own ultimately. And I do think at times Man City were a little bit worried about us, especially going forward with our attack. You have to be worried. There's no way no team in the world can ever not be worried at seeing Salah, the Nunes, Jota when he was on, Gakpo, Diaz when he come. Like, come on, man. Like, you'd be stupid to think otherwise. So, yeah, man. We move on to the next game, and then we go from there. But like I say, it's been hilarious listening to everybody's like talking about the game, and some overreactions, some calm reactions, some pessimistic reactions and stuff like that. It's just been hilarious seeing it, man. But big up everybody, man. Everyone's in. But that one thing I will say, everyone's entitled to their opinions, regardless. You know what I mean? Feel how you want to feel, people. Feel how you want to feel. If you want to be angry about something, be angry. I know I just said there, don't listen to me. Be angry if you want to be angry. Be happy if you want to be happy. Whatever. Do whatever it is you want to do. Do you know what I mean? Don't let another person tell you. You know what I mean? And we need to stop allowing people to police the way that another person is allowed to feel. You know what I mean? If you want to be negative, then be negative. Do you know what I mean? If you want to be positive, then be positive. You want to be calm, then be calm. Like, be whatever it is you want to be, man. Tired of people saying, oh, how can you be like, shut up. I don't care. Do you know what I mean? Like, who are you to tell me? Me specifically, but who are you to tell anybody? You know what I mean? Nobody is allowed to police the way that someone feels about anything in life. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, so don't allow other people to police the way that fans should feel about certain situations. If you got an opinion on something, then speak it. You know what I mean? You should be allowed to speak it, because ultimately, why is your opinion more valid than someone else's opinion? Do you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, we're all just fans. None of us are qualified to even be talking about this stuff anyway, myself included. Like, what gives us the right? It's not like I've got some degree that says, all right, cool, you've got YouTube football content creation certificate, so you're allowed to speak on I don't have that. I'm just a fan who likes to talk about Liverpool and other things. So yeah, man. Like I said, man, just don't allow people to, get away with things like that. But forget all of that stuff, man. We move on to the next game. Make sure you guys obviously smash that like button. Make sure you share. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel. Manchester City versus Liverpool 1-1 match reaction done and dusted. I'm G. Guys, we outie.